Right. Then I think that's it, isn't it? We're moving on to the bad?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. What is your bad, Vu?
What was my bad?
It was about Inferno and Valve balancing choices, apparently.
One of the biggest problems, Inferno's just terrible. I think everyone agrees on that. But the problem I have is with Valve's balancing choices, in that they changed the spawns so close to the major. They didn't even run with the new spawns in the America's RMR. They ran with the old spawns. Then they immediately, that one of the things that's missed out on is the America's RMR. Then all these teams from the America's RMR, Liquid included, fly over to Blast next day, I think, play with the new patch, with new spawns that they haven't had any chance to practice and jet lagged, and then they go straight from there. What, like half a week later, they're at the opening stage of the major now. I mean, except for Liquid, because they're shit. But you know, I don't understand the point. And not only that, but actually, I kind of respect the idea that with MR12, you want to lower the variance in spawns. So you basically pull the spawns together. And on Mirage, for example, you still have the same, I forget how many, but it's the same percent of your spawns can go for a cat jump. It's like 2 of 5 instead of like 5 of 17 or whatever, something like that. It's the same percent, which is perfect. That's exactly what you want. You just lower the variance, but you still have the exact same gameplay style. But then they added spawns on Anubis. I don't. What the fuck are they doing? And so close to the major, it doesn't make any sense. And then they're just but they're also not fixing Inferno. You would think they would fix Inferno right before the major. That would be a pretty important thing to do. But they're just like, leave it in this fucking ridiculous state. Oh, I can't say enough bad things about Valve's balancing decisions. They just make no sense. They just don't. They don't add up. They're all different.
Okay, a lot of things here. I would actually want to ask you first what you think, because we're seeing less and less Inferno at tier 1 events every single time. It feels like in the BO1 opening stage of the opening stage, I don't think we saw Inferno at all played in the BO1s, if I remember correctly.
I think Chad did a graphic on Twitter that showed it was either the last or the second to last played map at the major after the first phase or something like that.
And but I think it was played in the first phase only as like map 3s or first picks kind of thing. Like it wasn't, like people weren't letting it go down in a you get what I mean, like in the veto. So Vu, like, I mean, when I play, like when I see Inferno played, or like, I feel like people don't like it because you can't, like, retaking, it's the worst map to retake on by far. And like, if you have even a 3v2 advantage for CTs on a retake on either A or B feels so horrible. So beyond retaking, and I would say, like, also sometimes if you're winging a nade, like if you're just throwing a smoke on the ground, there's just random textures that it can bounce off of and either stop it or make it bounce into like some weird random area. Are there other things that I'm missing for why Inferno is not played right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of goes into the gamble stacking thing. If you're watching the Furia versus Ecstatic game, you can see there's a couple times they just walk straight into a stack, and I feel like it's kind of hard, especially if you're playing into the late round, to sniff out it. Fallen gets into Arch in one round, and he's like, they're stacking one of the bomb sites here, but we got 25 seconds, so I hope they're stacking B because we're going A now, and then they just get fucking destroyed. So I don't know if there's necessarily a fix to that. They need to make Banana wider. Banana just feels horrific. But not only that, I actually think the smokes taking that extra second to bloom on a molly is low-key making everyone hate Inferno 10 times more, because now you're guaranteed 30 damage from a molly if it lands on top of you. There's almost nothing you can do about it. Yeah, I mean, that would be the first 2 steps. Make Banana wider so that teams can't just molly you out so easily, and fix this delay. I mean, that's for every map, but Inferno specifically, you have mollies land on you all the time.
Oh, also that one thing that you can do where there's a smoke and then there's a molly next to the smoke, and you can actually stand in the pixel between the smoke and the molly, see through it, and then like that feels like a Banana fight specialty where it's like, oh, I mollied right in front of my smoke, the guy shouldn't be there. Oh, I just get shot because I swung right into the guy. It's like you need, it's just some of the little mechanics in the game make Inferno feel worse beyond the fact that little map changes. I think like the meta has now just gotten to a point where if you're not gamble stacking, you're failing.
I will actually agree and disagree. Here's why. Because if I look at it relative to what CS2 is, and especially what the old Inferno was in CSGO, I do think it's a problem. Like, I think one of the problems in this discussion is the amount of people who talk like CS2 is CSGO is mental. Like, the map literally looks and is different. Like, the architecture is even different. Yes, it has the most basic broad strokes, but I'll give you a quick example of why you can't, if you haven't thought about it, just act like it's identical. Because classically, when CSGO got really big, you had a bunch of people where when it became like 2016, where it was on TV, and there was like millions of dollars for the major, and people heard that like people are getting paid 20k a month, you had all these people come back in the industry who were old 1.6 players. And mate, there were some mega embarrassing convos I had privately, where they were telling me stuff like they would watch a game at a tournament with me on like a big screen, and they would watch people play Dust 2, and they would literally try to make meta reads based on what 1.6 Dust 2 was like. So you know how in Dust 2, if anyone played it in 1.6, as CT, you used to just hold the catwalk on the catwalk, and you would just dodge nades, and you would like sort of time when they're going to come. Obviously in CSGO, no one ever did that. So these idiots were making like reads like, well, they don't even understand how to control it. Like, you've got to lock them off then. You've got to have the one guy. And I had to sort of tell them like, look, I know the map looks the same to you, but the game fundamentally has different mechanics. The smokes are different. And even if it like roughly looks the same, it's not identical architecture. Like, you can't have the same boosts, and the flashes affected differently, and the bounces of the nades. I said, there's enough things different that you don't realize. You think you know this map, but you don't. So I'd say, first of all, I think people do the same thing with Inferno. Like, one of the first things I would change is I would absolutely take some of the things they just think look sick, bruh, and I would just go back to a way more simplistic, pared down version of Inferno. I already think that's an issue. Like, I already hated some of the things they had in that fucking B site anyway that can distract you, and fucking stupid little graphical things. Like, who the fuck would ever put graphical things that move in a game where half the time as a pro, you sit like this and you're just doing like fucking edge detection like that. And you're going to put like, it's bad enough in CSGO, guys, they had fucking actual chickens running out on the map to the AWP. If people don't know, at the first CSGO major, Kenny S shot a chicken thinking it was a fucking guy coming out of like Dust 2 doors or whatever, the fucking like B tunnels. He just shot a chicken because that used to be Counter-Strike. He just saw something, and the joke is he's so fast he couldn't like, you know, fucking unshoot it because he'd shot the bullet already because he's Kenny S, isn't he? So like, I would just say, first of all, change the architecture. That's a big issue. Then I'll tell you one you didn't mention, which is the smokes are just so much more powerful now. Yeah, you can't ever retake because those are fucking if you don't have counter utility, this is two parts. It's the smokes are insanely strong. If you don't have any counter util, there's no point even going through it. You'll just be dead immediately. And then secondly, that CT punishing economy is the worst on Inferno. That is the map where you already, in old versions of CS, used to save if you had an AWPer anyway. Now you're just incentivized to save. Unless you have a man advantage, why would you just risk losing all the guns and the round? And now a CT, you're double fucked. Instead, what you do is when you have 2 or 3 people left, if you don't get the first kill in 5 seconds, you save. And the joke is, if it's like VP and Jame, he's already like at the edge of the corner, like jiggle picket to save completely, because that's just who he is. So I do think as a map, it is the worst map for saving, not even unjustifiably, just all the time now. And it has actually ruined the game. But I will ask this question to both of you. If we're going to go this hard and talk like Infernos, like you can't even watch it, it's just garbage, man. I would still watch an Inferno game any day over a fucking Vertigo game. Like, that's what I don't get about people telling me Overpass and Inferno suck. Vertigo is still in the fucking meta. Like, Vertigo is like someone fucking only had like an hour left and he thought he had a week left on his homework and he just submitted the map. It's like, bro, you made the spawns and the sites and forgot to put anything between them. There are just stairs. I'm going upstairs or a ramp. And that's why that joke people made at the beginning, it's like fucking like bomb hold simulator or retail. It is. That's all it is. It's actually for real. I think that I have always said Vertigo isn't even Counter-Strike to me. Though Counter-Strike has an analogy that's comparable to RTS. When you're on the T side, it's not just about, are you in the spawn? Are they in the sites? That's shit. That's why that original version of Overpass sucked, where people could just sit in the fucking A site and they never had to ever come out. What you want, this is why I love Overpass, is you want enough room between that then there's a game where before you even get to the sites, we can fight you early, we can take advanced positions, or we can go back and now you have to use loads of utility to get to us. And then there's that like dynamic back and forth of, do you have the util? Do we not? Do we send a scout? Do we stay in the site? Vertigo doesn't have any of that. It's just you're in the sights or you just have fighting. That's it. There's not, and I actually do think, even though people get hyped of like, oh my God, because like a VTIC, there's only 3 seconds left, they have to run in. It's like, that's just a shooting gallery. What is that? That's not Counter-Strike. So as much as I'll agree with you, I do think Inferno in CS2 is not the Inferno that I loved from CSGO. The problem I have is like Vertigo still exists, guys. There is still that in the meta. Like, are you going to tell me Inferno's worse than Vertigo? You can go ahead if you want.
I pray Vertigo gets removed and not Inferno.
Fair
and
enough.
They try and fix Inferno.
Because
I feel like, I've said before, I feel like the reason Vertigo's playing is because you get punished. One of the main reasons you get punished less for these gamble stacks that everyone's doing. Inferno, you get punished the absolute most. And so it's basically a reaction to the economy. It's not because Inferno or Vertigo is necessarily a good map. It's like, it's just inoffensive. People don't hate it. Everyone hates Inferno because of the way you have to play around it. But somehow Valve, it's like Vertigo. Someone had their kid on that map or something. Like, why is this map? It's been the least played map every year forever in the top 20 forever. Why is it not gone?
Yeah, but that's the problem. Y'all already made them take Dust 2 out. Now they're going to take Inferno too. Like, eventually there's going to be no CS maps left. We're going to be on fucking Roblox. What are we going to be doing at that point in time? Or we could just play on Art's favourite map, DE_Lusional. Whatever. It's whatever it is. Right. To see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content, well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.